What's good, everybody, and welcome to your happy hour Q&A for the month of April. Squeaking it in right at the end.
Yes.
Happy Saturday.
Skin of our teeth.
I was thinking about our last stream, but that was St. Patrick's Day. That feels like that was not that long ago, but at the same time it does. Time is weird.
Time is weird indeed.
Time is weird.
So we are here all separate. Oh, my windows got messed up. Got to move them around. Because April was a crazy month for us, and we just couldn't make the travel work, unfortunately. But we're excited to be back together for the anniversary special next month, and I hope that you guys are having a great weekend. Ladies, do you have any good plans for this weekend? Did everybody go see Endgame?
No. I haven't seen Endgame, but I want to go see it. Sorry, I just put a big hunk of meat in my mouth.
I was like, it sounds like you're chewing something.
I did put a big piece of meat. I'm going to go see La Llorona, which is that scary movie.
Oh, okay.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never heard of this. What is it?
I think it means the crying woman in Spanish, I believe.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah, the weeping woman. Yeah, so food in my mouth. I look like a chipmunk. Anyway, the first time I heard about this was when I went to Halloween Horror Nights. The first time I went, they had a haunted house themed after La Llorona, and that's how I heard about it, and it was scary as hell. That's all. So
I'm like, understand. Cool. There's just like a crying lady walking around because that just sounds like my life.
Oh, Steimer.
Okay.
Oh, I can make jokes. Leave me alone.
You can make jokes. You can.
Although several variations exist, the most basic story tells of a beautiful woman by the name of Maria who drowns her children in the river in means of revenge because her husband left her for a younger woman.
Wait, what do the kids have to do with that?
People are weird, man. People don't know how to process their anger.
Drown him in the river.
I'm saying.
That's fucked up, yo.
I'm going to finish chewing now.
Okay.
It is fucked up indeed. I realize I should probably pull up the doc with all the questions in it, huh?
Mayhaps.
My brain's moving at half speed today.
Welcome to the club.
It's Saturday.
I'm sleepy.
Well, it's early on Saturday too.
It's not that
Still wearing my pajamas on the bottom.
My unicorn onesie arrived yesterday, and it is glorious. Maybe I'll put it on for the after-hour stream.
What do you mean, like another MeUndies one?
Yeah, so MeUndies put out a new unicorn print. And when I saw that they had it in a onesie, I instantly purchased that. I may have also used the What's Good Games code with a third email so I could get the discount again.
Oh my God. You're like, yes.
MeUndies.com/WGG. Get that 15% off, yo. Free shipping.
They're seriously comfortable. I mean, it's a thing. You know, sometimes people do sponsorships. Not us, of course, because we are true blue and honest. But, like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
True blue.
But these onesies, I was telling the ladies when I was in Antigua that I just lived in mine when I was in the room, and it was festering a little bit, but that's fine.
Wasn't it too hot to wear in Antigua?
In the rooms where it was cold.
Oh yeah, all the air conditioning. Yeah. I getcha. I hear ya. So I noticed that Teespring sent us an email. Everybody who's excited for pins. I think we're going to be able to start selling custom enamel pins in our store, which would be great because then we don't have to carry them around at all the conventions we go to anymore.
That would be amazing.
I can pack more clothes because those things are heavy.
They really are. All right, let me pull this up. How are you guys doing in the chat? Whiskey Jack, you said you weren't going to be able to stop by the stream. I thought your son was competing this weekend. What's up, Critter Plays? Martha, Assassina, The Dude, Pete, Tame Kitty, Malay.
The Dude is a good name.
The Dude, El Padre, the nice gentleman who gave us our little Mac things at Rooster Teeth.
You mean Sephora?
Yeah.
He also sent a bunch of very unhealthy snacks with a note that was like, I swear I'm not trying to get you fat. LOL. Yes, you were. Please. You're so kind, sir. Don't send any more Buc-ee's. I can't handle it. I only get to eat those once a year, and that's in Austin, and that's it. If I'm not in Austin, no Buc-ee's.
I'll eat some space.
Here we go. Here's the happy hour Q&A responses.
That would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Hotel Wi-Fi. Glad that you're getting it to work. All right, here we go. If
Wi-Fi,
one of
I'm
our
gonna keep
fantastic
yawning, I'm sorry.
mods, or I guess it's just Molly right now, could drop the Google Doc link for submitting your happy hour Q&A questions into the chat, that would be
I
excellent.
can grab it too.
Wait, Sam, how the hell are you going to Antigua? Why is everyone going to Antigua?
Wait,
This
who's
is not
going?
fair. Sam Sherritt says he's going to
Oh,
Antigua next week.
hey! Oh, that's
Any
awesome.
places or recommendations from you, Brittany?
I honestly just stayed on the resort grounds the whole time. We went to Sandals because I didn't want it. We did an ATV buggy tour, which
Ooh.
is a story in itself. You will be the only group that goes. You will probably give strangers rides on the way back as they hang on the sides of your buggy, as we did. You will drive amongst traffic. You will drive on the left side of the road. It's an experience. If you're interested, I can tell you what tour we went on. But all the beaches are beautiful. Just watch out for sand fleas, because we went to one of the beaches that wasn't on the resort, and I just saw these little like sand fleas everywhere. And I get it. There's nothing you can do about it. But the last time I had an encounter with sand fleas was in Puerto Rico, and I literally had like 25 to 30 bites all over my back. And it was
I've
really
never
gross.
heard of sand fleas,
I
and now
have.
you've got me scared of the beach.
Yeah, no, they will eat you alive.
Wait, but they didn't have any at the resort?
The resort, the beach. I don't know if there's something. Well,
I'm sure
I know
they
every
spray the beaches at
Yeah.
the resort, right?
Yeah, they would fog it every night, and it's just like this incoming mist of doom that it
Oh
looks
my
like.
god.
And for like an hour or so, and there was no bugs at all in the resort. But obviously, once you leave, then no one's fogging the entire island.
It's because all the fleas communicate with each other. They're like, "Yo, Sam, stay off that beach, man. The fog will get you. We're all hanging
Yeah.
out at this beach down here. It's a
Danger
flea
fog,
party."
Danger fog.
Poor Sam, the sand flea.
I don't think they have that long of lifespans anyway.
Yeah, I would be
Now I
curious
need
to know.
Google sand fleas. I want to know what this shit looks like.
Ew.
Do it. Google it. They're so microscopic. They're super, super tiny. But the photos you'll see will be under magnifying glasses, and they have all these like really like little legs. I know because I did a lot of research after I had a minor flea infestation.
Oh yeah.
And they are gross looking.
Why is this going to Yahoo? Who the fuck uses Yahoo
Yeah.
search? Literally no one. Internet Explorer or not? It's not even Internet Explorer. This is Chrome. Why is Chrome sending me to a Yahoo search?
Yeah, Internet Explorer is gone now. It's Edge, Microsoft Edge.
I just misspoke. I use Chrome. I don't use.
I know. I just think it's funny that Microsoft keeps changing. They're like, now it's Bing.
my
Now it's
God.
Edge. Now it's Bing inside of Edge. And I'm like, what the fuck, Microsoft? Get it together.
No,
confusing.
sand fleas are terrifying.
All right. So here we go. First question from Gritter Plays. What's good, ladies? For each of you, what are your favorite top 3 comic book movies ever? Ooh, that's a tough one.
I'm not okay. Comic book movies. I don't know, because I don't read comic books, and I don't know. Sorry, I keep talking my mouth full.
Stop eating.
I can't. I'm so hungry. I don't know.
Do you want me to go first while you think about
Yeah.
it and finish chewing?
I don't even know what movies I've seen. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So there's a ton of really great options here. One of the first ones that comes to mind is The Dark Knight. Obviously, this is not in the traditional superhero style that we see a lot of comic book movies, but I really like it because Christopher Nolan just did such a great job making it like really gritty, and I thought Christian Bale was really a fantastic Batman. So that's probably one of mine. Steimer, do you have
300.
one? Oh, 300's a great choice.
Oh, that's a comic book?
Yeah.
I guess it is. I mean, I've just been rewatching a lot of the Marvel ones, so probably one of those. I need to think about which one precisely.
Yeah,
I mean,
picking one from
Infinity
the
War is
MCU.
really good. I haven't seen the new one, but I just like the tone a lot of Infinity War. All the ups and downs.
Yeah, Infinity War is excellent. And don't worry, we're not going to talk about Endgame. Nobody's talking about Endgame in the chat.
Abandoned ship.
I do like Infinity War better, though. Let's see here.
I can't even remember all the comic book movies I've seen in my day, because I just go and I enjoy them. I don't critique them. I don't have a list.
I really...
Ooh, Spider-Man. The one this fall. The most recent one.
Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse. That was really, really good.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Because somebody wrote Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's, and I was like, no, none of that.
I liked Spider-Man 2 a lot. I thought it was good. I thought Into the Spider-Verse was good. I think, for me, like X-Men was really my favorite comic book series. So when you talk about favorite ones of those X-Men movies, I mean, I really liked Days of Future Past. That was one of my faves. Logan was also really good.
Logan was good, yeah.
Deadpool, the first Deadpool, I thought was...
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
I died laughing. That
Deadpool
was so
was great.
funny. Gosh, there's so many. Top 3. Greater Places is too difficult to choose. I also really loved The Watchmen. I know it got a bad rap from people, but I had watched that movie like right after reading the entire graphic novel front to back. And I just loved how they took so many shots directly from some of the comic panes within the book, and I thought they did a great job with it. Was it too long? Yes, but what I think I really enjoyed about that is that they took material and subject matter that really kind of makes you dig deep into philosophical places of your mind, whereas a lot of superhero or comic book movies are just like popcorn fun. And that one was like, no, let's really think about some like life-altering shit with this movie. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Molly says Captain Marvel was really good too. I haven't seen it yet, actually.
Oh, it's real good. I think you'll like
I have no opinion yet.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Indeed, Bubba, I am the one who watched The Watchmen.
So this is weird. I'm going back to an earlier tangent. This is not superhero movie related. Sand fleas are not actually insects. They are tiny crustaceans, but too little to boil and serve with melted butter. That's literally what this says on Turnix's website.
That sounds right.
What?
They're tiny crustaceans, but too little to boil and serve with melted butter, aka like they're too small to eat, but they are actually crustaceans, not insects.
Why would you name anything that could be edible a flea? That's fucking
It's
gross.
not edible. No, it's...
No, I'm saying though, if you're talking about cooking it with butter.
Have you seen like a
joke.
live shrimp before? They're pretty
they're really
gross. I
gross.
mean, they look kind of like a giant flea, quite frankly.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Listen, all crustaceans look terrifying, but they're delicious. Every time I eat lobster, I'm like, this is a bug of the sea, and it's delicious.
A bug of the sea.
I mean, they are. They're giant bugs.
No, I know, but I like that. But that's how you're like, bug of the sea. It's like tuna of the sea.
The chicken of the sea?
Chicken
of the sea.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay, next question's from Brandon Kagan. What's up, Brandon? Are you even in the chat? I didn't see you in there.
Bartholomew Ganondorf.
Hello, what's good? Now that we're a third of the way through 2019, I was curious what have been the standout games for you so far this year? Or to put it in a better way, what select games are currently on your short list for Game of the Year? Thanks as always for taking my question, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay.
Like literally nothing.
Oh.
It's interesting because we're planning in July to do our Game of the Year so far show that we've done the last 2 years in a row, but it's such a different landscape right now than it was at this time last year. So for me, the short list for Game of the Year is Resident Evil 2.
Would you say Metro Exodus?
Yes, I would say Metro Exodus. I still need to play the final scene of that.
5, no, not for me.
That wasn't out this year. Far Cry New Dawn was this year.
That's what I meant, yeah. I keep a list now of every game that I play because by end of the year, I'm like, nope, I can't remember anything.
No, this is specifically Game of the Year, not like RPG of the Year, not Best Online Multiplayer. Right. Like, there's a lot of games that would maybe qualify one of the subcategories, but for like Game of the Year, I would maybe no.
There's been nothing for me.
Yeah, really, Resident Evil 2. That's it for me.
Yes.
I mean, there's an argument to be made for Devil May Cry 5, but I think once we get into the fall, that'll get knocked off. I was really holding out hope that Days Gone was going to be a contender, but it's good. I've been reflecting a lot about this because we obviously talked about it at length. You guys talked about it. I talked about it again on the Gamescast, and like I felt like I was being really harsh on it, and I think the reason why it came off a lot harsher than I intended it to was because my hopes were really high for this game, and I think that there's so many flashes of brilliance that they just could fix but didn't.
Yeah, it's interesting because this game, I think it's a really, really fun game. I'm not playing it right now. I can't play it right now because of the audio issue I'm having. I did the latest patch and it's still audio all cuts out every 10 to 15 minutes. And so I just like can't play anymore. And it makes me so sad. But this is a good game. It's fun. It's flawed. And you know, when you come off of God of War and Spider-Man, a game like this that has certain issues and doesn't live up to those expectations, it's just a hard act to follow, right? And I was having this conversation with some folks that, you know, 7s and 8s and even some like high 6s, whatever your scale of grading games are, they're some of my favorite games. I mean, last year, Vampire, Kingdom Come Deliverance, like flawed games in their own right, but still some of my favorite games. And there's that weird distinction between game of the year, you know, God of War, and then personal game of the year, right?
Right. I mean, I think when we look at Game of the Year contenders, it needs to get like 8, 9s, and 10s pretty much across the board from the vast majority of outlets, and there's just been a very few of those. I think, you know, Sekiro is an interesting choice. Despite the controversy, I think that's a very well-designed game, certainly. But Katana Zero, I don't know, maybe. They might have a chance. Yeah, it's obviously a much longer conversation, but... Yeah, it's slimmer pickings right now than it was last year. That is for sure. Because last year at this point we had God of War, we had Celeste, we had Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World. I want to go back and play that game. All right, next question. Martha. Greetings, friends. Earlier this year, I finished Red Dead Redemption 2. Finishes in quotes because I have not been able to bring myself to play the epilogue yet. Oh, girl, you got a ways to go.
Yeah.
And the ending of Chapter 6 wrecked me. I won't go into details for those who have not played it yet, but its emotional impact was so gut-wrenching because it was eerily similar to an experience that me and my family went through late last year. With that being said, my question to you ladies is this. Have you ever played a game that reminded you of a real-life experience and served as an emotional gut punch because of it? Doesn't have to be a sad one. Could be a happy one, too. Love you guys. Oh, thanks, Martha.
The only one I keep thinking about is Life is Strange. Life is Strange, the first one. Just because of the kind of character Max is in high school and how she doesn't quite fit in, and she sees all these little, you know, cool, popular kids, and she's a little bit afraid to speak up and stand up for herself. Oh my God, what is that?
I just want to show you guys the mug I'm drinking out of. It's a caddy corn. So it's a little rainbow kitten with a unicorn.
Oh, I see the unicorn. There's glare, so I didn't see the unicorn horn, but now I see it, and that's beautiful. But yeah, I would say Life is Strange, and that actually propelled me to play Max as a super outspoken, you know, at least fake it till you make it confident character throughout that game. Because if I could go back and do high school all over again, like I think a lot of us think we would do it differently, and we would not give any fucks.
That's true.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot of. I mean, games for me are usually too out there with like what's going on in their plots, so probably not anything I can super fully relate to. And now I'm like, Martha, I would like to discuss offline what exactly happened to your family, because that's kind of fucked up. Because Red Dead's kind of fucked up. But anyways, just don't worry, it's not a perfect comparison, just similar. I'm like, because my face was like, what? Molly has a good one.
Oh yeah,
for her.
Gone Home really hit me hard. Oh, to be young and gay and worried about what people think. Yeah, it's a good one.
I about Gone Home.
It's been a while.
Yeah, nothing super reflects on my personal life, but
I would say the opening of I always say the Wolfenstein title. What's the latest Wolfenstein?
The new Colossus.
Yeah. Although I've never had to do that with an animal of mine, it was still like it. So I guess that doesn't answer the question. But now that I have like a dog and happen to go through that opening scene of Wolfenstein, and I was like, I couldn't do it. Remember that? Yeah, that was a gut punch.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I got nothing. I got nothing. Sorry, Martha. I'll think on it, and if something comes to me later, I'll let you know. Okay. Delilah. Did I say that right?
Delilah,
I feel like I always say your name wrong, Assassina.
New York City, something, so pretty. Yes, you do. I don't know the words, and I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I had an outburst.
I noticed you ladies mostly play your games on easy mode, except Steimer. Excuse me, not all the time. I play most of my games on normal mode, for the record. Do you do this with the pressure of having to cover many games for WGG, or is that how you always prefer to experience your games? Is there a game that you wanted to experience on harder difficulties? If so, what was your motivation?
I mean, unless it's a shooters, yes, I play on easy mode because I'm really bad at shooters. That's just my thing. But if I'm playing an RPG or something tactical or something that doesn't require precision aiming, I'll play on normal mode. But I mean, actually, in Divinity, I prefer the hardest difficulty because I like the tactical part of it.
Yeah, I also play most of my games on normal mode. I specifically played Days Gone on easy because I had no desire to deal with the survival mechanics with the zombie hordes. Because I'm like, this is going to be scary enough for me as it is, and I don't really like horror games or survival games in general. But I'm playing Metro on normal. The only games that I actively go after harder difficulties are games that I've finished once on normal mode, because I like to play it that way first to kind of get a baseline for what the game was intended to be, especially if we're, critically talking about games. It makes sense to see what the baseline is, but the games that I like to play on harder difficulties are mostly like combat RPGs. So like
Diablo.
FPS games. Yeah, Diablo, Mass Effect. I remember playing the harder difficulties on Halo, for example. So yeah, Steimer?
I don't ever have a huge desire to bump anything up. Normal's pretty much my go-to. Just whatever. It's not normal. I don't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
Usually
I'm wearing the baby mode shirt today.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here.
Divinity Original Sin is hard. I'm looking at chat right now because a lot of people were talking about Divinity. It's the learning curve, and people, just a heads up, pickpocket everything, and then your life will be easier. Trust me. Steal shit.
Stealing shit's great.
It is. In games, not in real life.
In games. Probably not in real life unless you're really good at it. And even then, exercise caution.
Yeah. I guess the only game that I truly enjoyed playing on the hardest difficulty was Rock Band, Guitar Hero, Amplitude, and Frequency, the music and rhythm games. Because I could not find a challenge on normal mode, and so I had to go to expert. Gosh, makes me want to bring up Amplitude. Okay, Michael Gonzalez says, "Hi, ladies. Last month's Q&A was the same day and almost exact time that I went to see Captain Marvel. This month's Q&A falls again on the day I'm going to see Endgame. Well, I won't be able to see this live. I figured it was fitting that I ask you a question about the MCU. What are your current top 5 films in it? What is your personal favorite if you prefer not doing a list?" I guess this kind of has a little bit of overlap with the other question that we already answered.
Yeah.
Top 5 is going to be tough to pick. I really like Captain Marvel, Thor Ragnarok. I really loved Infinity War, the original Avengers, and I also really liked, I liked the Iron Mans, but Civil War.
Civil War was really good.
Yeah. Oh, I really liked Black Panther too. That was really good. And I like Doctor Strange.
They're all lovely.
I'm one of those weird ones where I was like, I enjoyed the tone of Thor Ragnarok, but I thought that movie was way too long. I felt like that should have been edited a little bit more.
I see what you're saying.
Anyways, I like a lot of the Marvel movies. I don't know if I could necessarily pick like a top 5 because honestly I don't even remember what all of them are, so and I still haven't seen Captain Marvel and I haven't seen Endgame, but yeah, we already kind of talked about this earlier. I think most of my were Marvel picks, but yeah, Black Panther's really good. What I don't remember a lot of the original ones. Like people are talking about original Avengers, and in my head I'm like, fuck, I don't even remember what happened in original Avengers.
Loki invades with the Tesseract and brings the Chitauri to New York, and they kind of like all get together the first time. There's an epic scene at the end with Hulk grabbing Loki by the feet and he slams him back and forth.
I remember that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrea, for
no
jogging
problem.
my memory.
I also really like the original Guardians. I like it probably a little bit better
I did not like
than
Guardians
2.
But I liked original Guardians a lot. Guardians 2 was also one of those movies where I was like, this is way too long. And what's even happening in this movie?
Yeah, it was weird. I love Kurt Russell. I really do. But that whole shtick about him on the planet and this, I felt the stakes were so much lower than the stakes of the first one where they're like trying to stop Ronan from using an Infinity Stone, right? Like it's like the stakes were so much higher.
Yeah. Spider-Man Homecoming I also have not seen. I need to see that. I need to see Captain Marvel. And then I think I'll be caught up. Because I just watched Ant-Man and the Wasp like earlier this week. And I was like, oh, this is a fun movie. But I've still got a few that were left in my Marvel universe.
Rewatch.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Scott says, happy Saturday, ladies. With news this week that BioWare is going to delay all of the remaining roadmap for Anthem with no dates of when the promised content will be released because they want to improve the content they do have. I have a question. Should BioWare really just say, we fucked this up and abandon the game? I ask this as someone who played the game a ton about a month after launch and stopped because of the issues the game had and the promise of new content. With the announcement the remaining player base is not happy and more players are quitting the game, with a new generation coming, maybe BioWare should just focus on making the next Dragon Age the best it can. I don't see players coming back to this game on new consoles when there will be new games to play.
I don't know that
That's
there
rough,
are going to be
Scott.
a lot of new games to play. Yeah, usually at the beginning of console life cycles, there's not
terrible.
a whole hell of a lot to play.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that statement. Also, good God.
Yeah, like, just abandon it. I mean, I like, yeah, it on paper, just write it off. It's fine. No, it's not fine. There's a lot of time and money invested into this bad boy. Not to mention, it still is going to be it's a huge source of revenue. It's making a lot of money. I think you're right.
Here's the thing, like, if the developers of No Man's Sky had just abandoned it, they wouldn't be in the spot that they are now.
Right.
Which is actual success at this point. So I disagree with the statement that it's a lost cause. I think games as service they obviously have longer shelf lives, virtual shelf lives, but it's something that they can definitely fix if they want to invest that time into it. Again, I forget the studio, Hello Games, if they can turn it around.
Yeah.
I have to hope that so could BioWare.
I think Elder Scrolls Online is another good example of a game that got turned around. It's now Final Fantasy 14, but I think it was originally Final Fantasy 11, the MMO. Those are MMOs obviously, but it's kind of the same thing. Like rocky launches, a lot of people weren't super happy with it, and now they turn around. Now they're incredibly successful. So,
just as a reminder to you about what the PlayStation 4 launch titles were. I looked them up. I actually found a video of me doing a story on this from Escapist like a long time ago. It was Flower, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack, Resogun, Sound Shapes, Escape Plan, and Flow. Those were the Sony titles. Third-party titles included Angry Birds Star Wars, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which was a multi-generation title, Call of Duty Ghosts, also multi-generation, FIFA 14 multi-gen, Battlefield 4 multi-gen, Just Dance 2014, Injustice Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition, so obviously multi-gen there too, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Madden NFL 25, and NBA 2K14. So not exactly the most like wham bam thank you ma'am list of games here. These are all the usual suspects, right? So I think we can expect when the next generation rolls over, there will be several titles that split, and I think a game like Anthem could actually, do really well, because if they can turn it around and really like make true to the vision of what they had, it can be great. I was actually just saying last night while I was running some of the Revelry events in Destiny 2 with some of the Guardians that I want to jump back into Anthem now that they've made some really important quality of life changes, like being able to access the Forge anywhere at any time. That was a huge thing that people were like, why do I have to go back to base to change the color of my javelin? I mean, somebody in the Discord had mentioned that narratively it doesn't quite make sense to be able to swap that stuff on the fly, but who cares is what I say. Like, it's a video game.
It's fine.
I would rather be able to change my guns on a whim instead of having to go back to base.
I'm excited to just hop into Anthem. I still haven't played it since it launched because of all of the the shit hitting the fan.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. Would this be as soon as these go live? Would this be a good time to hop in? Do you
As
think?
soon as
Or
what goes
The
live?
new Cataclysm event?
like just
Oh.
all? Well, yeah.
I would say it might be. I mean, yes, you could jump in then, but you'll be behind everybody else, right? Like
That's
so.
fine. Well, I guess it's just the quality of life changes that I'm more looking in for. You know,
Mhm.
just the things that people really complained about.
So the one big quality of life thing that they're still working on that they really need to like kind of kick into high gear if they want to see their player base come back, particularly if they want to see people maybe giving this a try over the summer, is the loot, right? The store needs to have
that's right.
multiple
Yeah.
options unlocked. This bullshit of having to change the inventory every 3 days and having to come back is garbage. Get rid of that. They need to have more options for people to buy armor sets, right? Like, so that was one of my big gripes, was that there was like 2 armor sets when the game launched, and one of them was tied to like a pre-order bonus or like an ultimate edition or something. And then they had a bug where you can only see your character's face in cutscenes if you're using the default armor, but if you use one of the high-end armors that were these premium armor sets, your face mask wouldn't actually flip up, so you didn't get to see your freelancer's face in the cutscenes. That's a fuck up. Fix it. And then basically making the high-end components less confusing, because that's the whole thing, is like you get to customize your javelin. You get to have like what, 8 or 10 I think is the maximum amount of components once you're fully kitted out, and they just didn't feel compelling, and you get this gigantic inventory full of them. So just some optimizations to do. So
Well, not only that, I think the new console generation gives them essentially a second launch, right? Like you get to drum up that beat again. You get to potentially be like, look, this is really what the game is now. Well,
Definitive Ultra Epic Edition.
yeah, like you can kind of, you can fix it a little easier. So I hope that is what they're targeting. It's like, okay, well, for next gen, here's what we need to have done for it to make sure that it goes a little more smoothly next time.
yeah. And Nut History, like you say, you saw running the same content over and over again. There's not a lot of content. That's a lot of games as services, right? Like that Destiny, it's not like you have a ton of content there either. It took them several years before they got enough content in the game to really satisfy the hardcore Destiny players. And even then, you know, they still have a lot of optimizing they can do. In the Division 2, you're running a lot of the same stuff. Once you've made it through the campaign and through the end game, the original invaded missions, every week it's just a reset and you're going back and playing the same mission. It's not like there's new stuff to do every week. So I think that's, while I understand as somebody who might not play a lot of live service games or looter shooters that might seem repetitious and boring. I mean, it's just what you do when you play these games, is you just run the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, even in MMOs, a lot of the stuff is running similar dungeons over and over again. Like other MMOs tend to have a larger pool of that particular thing, but otherwise it's similar in that regard. Although there's a whole bunch of other shit that you can do too in an MMO. You can go like pick flowers and shit if you want.
Pick flowers, kill 10 orcs, kill 10 goblins, kill 10 this, bring back their ears, bring back their pouches. I don't know. It's all competitive.
Bring back
Anyway.
their pouches. Okay, next question. Middle-aged gamer asks, "Hey ladies, big fan. Love everything you do. So another week, another story about crunch and nightmare working conditions. As someone who has worked on and off in the production side of the entertainment industry and has put in many 80 to 130 hour work weeks and knows that grind, do you think that these stories will ever gain traction with casual gamers in the mainstream media? I feel like it's tough to sell that someone working a soulless, thankless 9-to-5 office, factory, retail, etc. job about how hard it is working on super cool projects that they can only dream about. Keep on being your cool selves and can't wait for the 2-year anniversary shenanigans."
Wait, what?
So the question is do these stories about crunch in video game business matter to the casual gamer? The gamer who maybe buys 1 or 2 games a year or plays games on their phone?
No, because most of them aren't even reading those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we forget how many gamers there are. I don't even know the number. It's like hundreds.
2.6 billion gamers across the world.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, so like a lot of fucking people, right? And I think, you know, we kind of are our own little bubble here, people who cover the industry, people who actually pay attention to the industry and how it works, the ins and outs of it. It's kind of like the conversation. It reminds me of when we talked about the Epic Game Store and why it's so cool that there's this 88-12% split, right? But the normal person who uses Steam doesn't give a fuck about that because they don't even understand how Steam makes its profits and the profit sharing that Steam has, So I think it'll gain traction within the people who cover the industry. Now, whether or not that's enough to make, some changes implemented into these working environments, who's to say? Another story just came out also about Mortal Kombat 11's crunch. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. No.
I mean, it's tough for me to talk about this without sounding like an asshole because I have worked those jobs in all kinds of industries. I've worked 100-hour work weeks in retail. I've worked, who do you think is manning all the shops during like the crazy holiday season? People who are working 80 to 130-hour work weeks. Like crunch is just part of being in a job in most industries at some point. I think the reason why the video game industry is getting a lot of flack for it is because it seems like crunch is becoming part of the culture and is more pervasive, or at least more talked about publicly than it is in other industries. And also there's certain companies that are acting in bad faith and not paying their employees for that crunch. I think that's really where it comes down to. Like, I don't inherently have a problem with people working 100-hour work weeks of their own volition. If they, are able to get paid for that and get overtime or get bonuses based on their extra work, let them work. But if they have family complications and they can't, or if they are a caregiver, or if they just don't want to, they should be able to not. And I think that's really where the split happens and where the gray area begins between why crunch is bad and why crunch can be fine, is that in most situations, workers aren't being properly compensated for their crunch. And that is not okay, right? Everybody needs to get paid for the work. But just having this idea of that crunch culture in general should never be a thing and everybody should only work 40 hours a week is kind of ridiculous. And so I think if people want to be able to work more, they should be able to work more. But this is why unions tend to be important, right? And why unions in other industries like to work for the behalf of their employees. And why you see something like, I've been talking about Game of Thrones a lot recently with this upcoming Battle for Winterfell episode and how they worked, 55 consecutive night shoots. Like, that's terrible. Like, there's all these stories about people getting sick, an actress even passed out on set, blah, blah, blah. But that they were all fairly compensated because the unions that protect the film and television business made sure they're getting double overtime. They have mandated breaks, et cetera, et cetera. But it didn't mean that they still didn't have to crunch. They still had to crunch, right? I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now.
Point, because the difference there is like all of those crunch periods that you're talking about are temporary. And I think the issue is when they are essentially crunch just becomes the norm and it's no longer like, oh, we need to crunch for a couple of months because we need to get this one thing done and then you'll get some time off. Like that doesn't feel like it exists anymore. And it feels more like you'll be crunching for like a year. And at the end of that, we're going to need you to crunch more because this is now, we need you to fix this game. It's like the patches need to come out or it's a game of service and like you need to keep making more content. There's no longer that because I think back in the day when everything was kind of like you launch it, it's done for the most part. Maybe you'll patch it a few times to make sure it's optimal. And that's it. Maybe you'll make it one DLC or two eventually, but it's not that anymore. And so like before it would be like, okay, we'll crunch really hard toward the end. Everyone goes. Like everyone then would take a bunch of time off and have that relaxation down period. And now that's not even like there's no basically end in sight. And I think that is where the issue lies. Like if there's no light at the end of that tunnel and you're just like, this is just my fucking life, right? Like
like we were talking about this last week, Summer and I, about the epic crunch. The problem also is when you feel like you cannot take that time off. Like, so, some people are saying if I take, there's a guy in there who said that he knew someone who took weekends off. And what that ultimately did is that passed his workload onto a whole bunch of other people. And they weren't able to get the thing done because someone took weekends off. And that's kind of the issue. Or if someone wants to go home after an 8-hour workday, and their boss looks at them like they're crazy, like, hell no, like, you sure go for it, but you might not have a job next week. And yeah, I think we all are making really good, valid points. And it's just, what's that perfect mishmash? How do you get that? If you want to work more, please do go for it. But if you don't want to, you're not in jeopardy of losing your job.
Right. And I think that's the problem that needs to be solved, right? And like, it's interesting that some people in the chat, like you're absolutely allowed to disagree with me, But the idea that a person that doesn't want to work 100 hours of their own volition doesn't exist is just not true. I worked with many people who begged me for my shifts, who wanted overtime because they were saving for a project or they were saving for a family thing or they had loans that they're trying to pay off. But I think Steimer's point is the valid one here, talking about how you need to have periods of rest if you're doing periods of crunch. And video games are becoming this ever-present, ongoing development cycle. And that's where the crunch becomes more egregious because it's no longer, okay, I'm up until 3 or 4 a.m. working on a project, which I have done many times in my life. And then you're able to take some time off. It's like, oh, I have to do this indefinitely for a couple of years before maybe I get a break. And I think that's really where the issue is. Like, there's a ton of reasons why that's bad, that we don't need to go into that are obvious. But maybe I just like know different people than you guys in the chat know. But I know lots of people who like to work a lot. I mean, like my normal work weeks are between 60 and 80 hours, but it's not like I'm on my feet and working a factory job. Well, it's different, right? I don't know. It's just like, and the type of work is different too. Like doing creative work or sitting at a desk and working on, animations might be something that someone doesn't have trouble doing for 10 hours a day, but that you might. I don't know. I just don't like these universal things of like working hard is bad. Maybe that's wrong of me, but
no, I don't think so. I think, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't stop working. Your brain is always on. You're always checking your email. You're always doing X, Y, Z. But this is something I kind of miss about my old job when I was working for someone else is, you clock in at 7, you leave at 4, and then you're done. Your brain shuts off. And then I started trying to get in the video game industry and that all went to shit. But it's just kind of, I think, the mindset and the kind of work that fulfills you in life and what makes you happy. If you're happy doing that, where you can work that 40 hours and shut your brain off at the end of the day, that's awesome. But if you want to be in the creative field, if you want to try to build a business, it's just not, you have to work twice as hard. And it's just, I think, the melding of the minds.
Yeah.
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 All right. Next question.
Yeah.
From Molly. Avoiding spoilers. What did you think of Endgame? I saw it and loved it. What do you think is next for the MCU? I don't even know if we can talk about it with no spoilers. I'd rather.
I also haven't seen it, so
yeah, I'd rather not. Maybe we save this for next month's Q&A, Molly, because I think
that'd be a good idea.
At that point it'll be safe to say like, hey, we can talk about it. And maybe we'll do a spoiler cast for Endgame. The last one we did for a film was Wonder Woman, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it could be fun, but yeah, I think we should avoid Avengers Endgame talk at all because I don't want to accidentally ruin anything for anybody. Francois asks, now that the Avengers Endgame is here, what's the next big thing, game or otherwise, that you're looking forward to? Well, for me, it's still Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has, 4 more episodes, including tomorrow's episode. So very bittersweet. I love that television series. I think it's one of the best television series ever created. And being able to go on as part of the cast of the In Review for Kind of Funny was really fun. When they told me that they were going to do that, I forced my way onto that cast. I was like, you guys have shut me out of all of the other In Reviews. Not this one. I'm literally the only person who's read all of the books. So you have to let me on the show. So,
damn right.
But yeah, it's fun.
Game or movie? I think the next... granted, I wasn't that excited for Endgame because I'm just not invested in that universe. Thing I'm looking forward to that I'm really excited about is E3. I'm really, really, really excited about that. There's a bunch of games I want to hear more about, specifically Dragon Ball Project Z. Oh my God. I'm like, it's getting to that point where I'm starting to feel interesting in my nether regions when I think about it because I'm so fucking excited. But like that and Dying Light, and then hoping to get some news. Obviously, we're going to get some news on the Xbox, whatever the fuck it's going to be. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a fun time. That's what I'm stoked about.
I picked Game of Thrones too. I mean, not that I'm not excited for E3, but Game of Thrones will be sooner than E3.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I gotta wait till June.
Yes, you do.
Other than that, I don't know.
I guess I don't
the end of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars will be fine. It's just a Detective Pikachu.
Oh yeah. Whoops. I keep forgetting about that movie somehow. I'm very excited to see it. It's getting great reviews. do it.
Yeah, Pete's got pretty much how I'm feeling. Like, there's a few games on my radar, but nothing I'm dying for at the moment. Excited for E3 to build some hype. Yeah, I need a little more hype on some of the stuff coming out, because I also don't know when some of the things I am excited for are coming out. Like The Last of Us Part 2, we don't know when that game is. So, yep, I need more information on some things, please.
Yeah, we'll know soon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Lots of speculation to happen around E3. I'm just looking at this question in the chat from Sam, who would win a one-on-one, Jon Snow or Aragorn, and without a doubt, Aragorn would crush Jon Snow. Okay?
Aragorn? That sounds like Acorn.
I don't know. Does Jon have Ghost with him?
Doesn't matter.
Or a dragon with him?
Does not matter.
I highly doubt that.
This is Aragorn. And also, like, the dragon doesn't count. This is a one-on-one. He says, who would win a one-on-one, Jon Snow or Aragorn?
Okay, fine.
You can't bring in the mystical creatures, okay?
I would do it. I'd be like, no, I fight dirty. I don't 1v1 anyone.
Good to know.
I secret 2v1.
Okay, Molly has a replacement question. She says, if you want to avoid that topic, surrounding the recent "Are reviews worthwhile" convo going around about Days Gone, what do you look for in a review? Or if you were a regular consumer like us, what do you look for? I personally use them to know if I should buy right away or wait for a sale. If I want to play a game, I'll play it no matter what the reviews are, but I might wait for a sale if I don't.
I mean, for me, I think reviews are a decent way of getting a grasp on maybe where the game excels or struggles. I don't look at scores. I would encourage you not to look at scores, because I think it's just not a great way of judging a game, because they're so complicated. There's so many facets, like open world games versus more linear games. There's too many factors. But otherwise, yeah, it just kind of gives you a little gist of it, whether or not it's something you think you want to jump into right away, whether or not it's something that you do want to wait for a sale for, or whatever. Like, that's how I would personally use them if I was a consumer. But I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, if you were really excited for a game, like, so if you were excited, for instance, for Days Gone, I think it helps you to know a little bit about the pros and cons of it before going in. Mm-hmm. So then you don't end up like Andrea, who had high expectations. Like, it's, I think when you level them a little bit and you're like, okay, this is kind of what I'm getting into, you can enjoy it for me more. Like, because I was the opposite of Andrea and with super low expectations, and I think I've enjoyed that game more than she has because of that.
Mm-hmm. Days Gone, you mean specifically?
Correct. I'm just, in that instance, I'm speaking specifically of that.
Also, Brandon, get out of here with that who is Aragorn business. For me, for reviews, I look for how the narrative comes together, how the writing is in the game, how the polish is, if the mechanics are interesting or innovative. I think sometimes subject matter can be very subjective, or I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time, right? There are people who like certain games and don't. Like, let's take Persona, for example. I have absolutely no desire to play a Persona game ever in my life. And some people think Persona is God's greatest gift to this earth. And that's okay. We're allowed to feel differently about it. Same with Smash. Like, when the Smash reviews came out, I checked them to look at them to see, is the game good, first and foremost? Like, and by good, do I mean, did Nintendo add new features? Are the stages cool? Is there polish there? Blah, blah, blah. But, like, I knew I was never going to play Smash. So it's not for me. But for me to say Smash is a bad game because I don't like it is just stupid, right? Like, of course, like, I think I always come back to GTA 5 and about how I played enough of that game to be competent talking about it. I think I played the first, 20 hours of that game. But I realized very quickly, this just isn't for me. The style of game, the open world, these 3 male characters, I just didn't like it. But I can critically look at that game and understand why it scored as well as it did and why it was a really amazing game for video game innovation overall, right?
Word. Yeah, I think for me, if I'm playing a game like Days Gone or, God of War or Spider-Man or, the games that we're excited about that we see at E3 press conferences and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm going to play those games. I'm not even going to look at reviews. Not only that, by the time we get those games, there are no reviews out because the game's not even out yet. So if it's a game I'm just excited about by looking at, chances are I'm just going to play it and not even look at reviews. But if it's, like a weird indie on Nintendo Switch, because that's one of my favorite things to play when I travel, I will look at reviews and I will look at Metacritic to see, okay, if it's like, if the average score is like a 50, then like, okay, then I actually should probably like deep dive into some of these reviews and see what the major cons are. Or if it's, an action platformer or something like that. So I guess for me, I do kind of look at scores if I'm gauging whether or not I want to continue to look into the game. If it's something that I'm not super like hell bent on playing. If it's like a 50, then I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem? If it's like a 70, then chances are I'll just skim one or two reviews, see what the major issues are, and then I'll definitely play it. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It depends on the genre of game, like, I guess. But yeah, like Steimer said, scores are tricky because there's a lot that go into them. And if you can find a reviewer that you relate with, because I got a lot of folks with Days Gone, because I tweeted out that I was surprised that it was getting that so many people disliked it, because it is a fun game. It is flawed, but there is a fun game there. And, people who know that I like these, they're not zombies. I know, don't kill me. Like zombie-esque cannibalistic things that want to eat you or kill you. So then they tend to trust my judgment a little bit more with those sorts of things. If there's like a shooter, they would probably trust Andrea. If there's an adventure game, like they go to Steimer, or, so yeah, that's all. And rant.
Also, Brittany,
But
not to shit on you, but you haven't played enough of that game yet. Like, which you can't because of the audio, but I'm just saying.
I mean, sure. No, but you're not wrong. But what I will say is people are okay.
Well, no,
right.
I'm with you, and I don't think you need to. I mean, I know that Steimer's trying to like salt on your parade here a little bit. I'm with you in that.
I'm just saying that there are different things where you're like, this is fun for a while, and then like, but if you don't ever hit the fatigue point, you don't know that it exists.
Okay, so Days Gone might not be the best example, but what I have played, I have enjoyed, and I am excited to continue playing. And what's interesting is a lot of people in our fan page, on Twitter, they're saying, I'm having a really good time with this. And, I think it's hard sometimes when you are a video game critic and you are to review a game, you do have to point out the flaws in a game. And I think that can turn people off rather quickly. And I think, sometimes it's easy to sound like you're shitting on a game that has flaws, even if there is a really good game underneath all of that. And that's kind of more what I was getting at.
No, you're totally right. And this is the thing that I've really struggled with when talking about Days Gone, because, I've played to the point where I see the fatigue and I see the flaws, but I'm with you, Britt. There's still a game there that's great. I think overall, like, that's why the scores reflect that this game has a lot of good points, but it also has some bad points. There's a reason why the average of this game is in the 70s or the high 70s versus the high 80s or the 90s, right? Like, that's the big difference, the critical difference here. It doesn't mean it's bad, but we've already talked at length about how there's plenty of games that we've all liked that got really shitty critical reviews. I even think about Destiny, a game that I've spent thousands of hours with at this point. A lot of people fucking hate Destiny. They think it's a terrible game. And it's just like, I'm not here to argue with them about whether they like it or don't like it, right? I play it because I love it, and that's okay. And if you guys want to play and love Days Gone, that's okay too. We're not here to tell you shouldn't. In fact, we're here to say that's awesome that you love something. But I said this on Games Daily when I was talking with Greg, and I said, we are damned if we do and damned if we don't when we talk about video games. Meaning, if I talk about a video game that I love, that I think is awesome, like Anthem, and other people don't like it, then I'm bad for saying that I like a game that they don't like and that I'm a shill. But then if I shit on a game or I don't like a game that everybody else likes, then I'm bad for not liking it too. There's literally no winning for us. There isn't. And that's like the shit part of what we have to do. Sorry.
Just video games. It's not that serious.
It's hard, you guys. Anyway.
This is why we drink.
Like what you like, okay?
I hope not. Good guy.
Don't let us stop you. If there's something that we don't like that you love, that's okay. That's totally fine.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on. Brady Bunch.
All right. I lost my tab here. Hold on. All right. James Bravo says, Britt, what is the genesis of your green screen backdrop? And do you ever use it to change the location? Or do all of you use a green screen and Britt's is broken? This is not a green screen. This is a real place.
No, so back in the day, you see, ladies and gentlemen, before What's Good was the thing, I bought a a pretty beefy PC that's kind of starting to go tits up on me. And I got a green screen because I wanted to do a lot of Let's Plays. I used to do a lot more videos for my YouTube channel back in the day. And so this was just like the perfect setup to do that. And so then when we started What's Good, this was my setup. This is, I have a big desk here, I have a big computer, everything's set. So I just decided to use this location. But that will be moving hopefully within the next month or two. I'm going to be moving into the other room where I used to do my old videos with all my backdrop things. So that's why.
No more Kermit the Frog behind you.
Dang it.
Yeah, and I've been trying to figure out when I was supposed to go to Britt's house in January, which is now 4 months ago, to help her set up in her amazing game room, which you have seen in some of our What's Good videos, but a lot of her Blonde Nerd videos, because she's got so much cool video game swag around her house, collectibles, knickknacks, tchotchkes, what have you. I was like, we could make a baller set with all of this stuff. And I was like, I'll come up and help you. And then I never did.
You know what? Life is busy. There's a lot of shit going on. It's okay. I'll build it with duct tape and tears.
It's not too late, Brittany. You can still start Anthem over on PS4.
That's me.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had Anthem on PS4.
No, I had it on Xbox because I don't know why, because I'm stupid.
Because Brittany convinced you that she was going to play it with you, and then she never started it.
You are not pinning this on me, Steimer, because I remember we had this conversation. Because I was peeing in Andrea's studio. I came out, and then we were talking about what platform we wanted to play it on, because Andrea has the Guardians. And then you and I said we both like the controller better on Xbox, and we have Xbox One X. And you were sad because Monster Hunter World didn't work on it or something, and you wanted something I don't remember.
Okay.
All right, Carl, are any of y'all looking forward to the Sega Genesis Mini? As a retro gamer, I can't wait to get it. So this is essentially the SNES Classic Edition for Sega. It's, I believe, listed for $79.99. Comes with a bunch of Sega Classic games. And it plays original Sega cartridges. Yes?
Oh, really? I missed that part.
Let me double check. I thought that was a thing. Let me look.
I mean, it's cool. It's kind of like the SNES Classic and the NES Classic. I also love retro games, but it's just, do I really have the time to, sit down and play these? Probably not. But I think it's awesome. It looks like it's a good offering. I know my grandma's excited about it. She loved her Sega. But
I never had one, so I have zero nostalgia for this. So
you probably don't have any desire to even
yeah. I don't care about this. But that's, a lot of people do. I'm sure they're excited.
Yeah.
Sega. Cool. I do like the way they say their name. That's fun.
What name? I'm so
Sega.
Confused. Oh, Sega.
Yes.
Maybe I got that wrong. Maybe I was looking at something else.
Oh.
Maybe you can't play old cartridges. I thought you could. But it comes preloaded with 40 games. Yeah, I have absolutely no desire for this whatsoever. Just straight up. I was a diehard Nintendo console girl growing up. I owned a Sega to play Sonic and Echo, and that was it.
Echo the Dolphin. I was always so scared to see that.
Yeah.
I feel like I tried playing that game several times and got confused and stopped.
I would listen to That's the Way I Like It on my CD player back in the day, and I would just do flips in the air as Echo, but I was always scared to actually swim deep down because there were sharks down there that would hurt you. Yeah. So I just literally just did flips, and that was my entire experience with Echo the Dolphin.
I had a dream about dolphins last night. I just remembered that.
Did they go?
No.
Oh.
They didn't. I don't think they made any noise.
What's up, Krista? Welcome. Next question from El Padre. How was the fourth dimension? And did Andrea share? Was that from you?
Oh!
So I almost tweeted about
forgot
this.
that.
He says it was a little 100th episode gift, but I have to tell y'all the whole story about it in person. So hopefully you can get me to text you about it next time I see you. I hope y'all received it because that business has strict rules about shipping. So yes, I have photos of it. I've saved some for the girls to try. I've saved most of the gummy bears. So let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. So I got this box in the mail, and it was from a really amazing chocolatier in Texas, and it came with a message that said, "Welcome to the fourth dimension," and it said from Chadwick. So let me show you guys. So this is the, I don't know, there's a light, the ring light, And like, I was just like, what is that? What is that? I had no idea, and I was going to tweet it, but then I was like, I didn't want to feel stupid for tweeting it and not knowing what it was. And so I just never acknowledged that we got it. But the chocolates are delicious. Thank you. I did not know that was you. So tell me, I mean, like,
we were very confused.
I'm still confused.
Because, you texted us that and you were like, what does this mean? I literally Googled around like the fourth dimension and I was like, I don't understand what this means.
Yeah. We were trying to be sleuthy on the internet, but we pulled up no answers.
We were very confused.
If you Google the fourth dimension, you find a bunch of like LGBTAA groups.
Oh.
I guess that's like a thing. The fourth dimension?
Did not know that.
For LGBT alcoholics. So, yeah, tried to figure it out. Still don't understand. You're definitely going to have to tell us at some point if you don't want to dump it in the chat. But thank you. They're very good. They're very rich. Very nice chocolates. I've never had a chocolate-covered gummy bear before.
I'm proud of you for saving us some. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I did give Rihanna one when she came. She stopped by my house the other week. Nice. Okay. Adam asks, who would win in a battle between Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering digital card game? Oh, which digital card game is better? Just seeking opinions. I mean, I feel like they're such different games.
Yeah, those are like complete opposites. So I don't know. Yeah, also, I'd never played Magic, so I've only played a little bit of Hearthstone. I have not played anything of Magic, so I could not give you a real recommendation.
Last time I played Magic was years ago, so I got nothing. I'm gonna say cribbage. That's the winner here.
Yes, good old cribbage.
Crazy Eights, Go Fish, Old Maid.
Did you ever play Pinochle?
I played Pinochle a few times in my day, but I can't remember how to play it now because it was weird.
So it was funny because card games were such a big thing for me, and whenever I go home to John's house, they like never play card games. And growing up in North Dakota, that's like all we did was play card games at family gatherings, like tons of card games, hours on end, and it was just one of those things that I didn't understand why nobody else played cards. So maybe what we'll have to do is we'll like bust out some cards and play some like old school card games.
I love you, Andrea, but if I can avoid competition with you, I'm fucking avoiding competition with you.
But we could play a game where we're on the same team.
Okay.
There are team card games?
Yeah.
I don't know any.
I don't know any, but you could teach us them.
Oh, isn't Pinochle one of them? Actually, you can play with someone?
I've never played Pinochle. I have no idea what it is.
Okay.
I've heard the word before, but I don't know how it actually plays.
Yeah, I think that might be the one.
Yeah, there's several.
I know not goldfish, go fish.
Yeah,
I also know what goldfish are. They're delicious. We should eat some.
Oh god, I was thinking about the goldfish in the tank, like the actual fish
no.
themselves.
Did you guys ever play spoons? We played spoons all the time at like holiday gatherings because it's a great game to play with groups. So spoons is like where you get spoons. Everybody holds an actual spoon, like the cutlery, and you have one less spoon than there are people, and you put the spoons in the center. And so it's a game where you have to like take and pass cards, and once you get, I don't want to go through the rules here, but once you get a certain thing of arrangement of cards, you grab a spoon, and once the first person grabs the spoon, then everybody else can grab a spoon, and the key is to try to grab it really sneakily as people are like furiously looking at cards and passing them back and forth. And then it's like a mad dash for everybody else to grab a spoon, and the last person who doesn't get a spoon is out, and then you just keep going around in a circle until there's obviously only two people left.
Like the card game of what's musical chairs.
That's
like
funny. Growing up, I remember watching my grandma and her sisters play this game with spoons, and I never quite understood what was happening, but I think you literally just solved like a 20-year-old mystery for me.
Yeah, no, I have played spoons before.
Okay.
I don't remember the rules of like, but I remember sneakily stealing spoons.
It's a very loud game because everyone's like, "Oh my god, a spoon!" And then
I mean, yeah, once people realize all hell breaks loose. Yeah.
It's fun. I'll teach you some classic card games. There's some good ones. Yeah, Hearts is a great one too. I think the reason why I know so many of these games is because in North Dakota, it's like frozen over for like half the year, and you can't really leave your house or go anywhere. And back then there was like no internet.
You gotta make do with what you have: a deck of cards and some spoons.
Yeah, man, for real. Like, you couldn't just like boot up the Xbox and play something that didn't exist.
If you really want to raise the stakes, you can play with knives.
No, why?
Yeah, that's a really bad
So
idea.
dangerous.
Raise the stakes. You know, listen,
No,
we were
that's
dumb
not
kids.
raising the stakes. That's making you into a steak.
Remember, what was that game? That was that game. It was called Knuckles or something, where kids would flick quarters at each other's knuckles or some shit. I never did that.
I never did that. I don't remember exactly what that was, but I kind of I forgot that existed until you just said that.
Yeah, it was a quarter, and they put it on a table, and you'd have to get it spinning, and then the other kid would put their hands down on the table like this, and then the person would
just
flick it.
Cut up their cut up your knuckles, and you're like,
I never played that game. That sounds terrible.
If you bleeding, you lose. Yeah, I don't know. Man.
If you start bleeding, you lose. You're a human being. You lose.
Yeah, we played quarters as a drinking game, where you have shot glasses and you have to bounce the quarter into the shot glass.
Yeah.
It was a race, so two people had two shot glasses, each person had a quarter, and it was a race to see who could get the quarter in the glass first.
I don't want a quarter in the thing I'm about to drink. Shit's gross.
Well, yeah,
I understand that. I know it's alcohol, but I don't care.
Well, we didn't put the alcohol in the glass that we were using.
That's good. I've seen people do that, and it's weird.
It's kind of like beer pong when you're young and stupid. And I mean, I did this where the ball would be bouncing fucking everywhere, like under corners, under the table. Like people would pick it up, and then you put it back in the cup with your beer.
And you're just like, what?
Yeah, and I did it. You're stupid, and I didn't think about it. Now looking back on it, that's disgusting.
Like,
no wonder everyone got sick.
Who got sick? I never fucking got sick from playing beer pong. I don't know. Maybe my immune system's just a tank. Except for today.
No, it was more of the what was that thing that would go around that everyone not mono? Was it mono?
Yeah.
The kissing disease?
Disease.
But that's not, it has nothing to do with I don't think a pong ball like rolling around, but
likely not.
At least you weren't hygienic is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. That's true. But I don't know. It was all fine. That was the final question. We are out of questions.
Final countdown.
I know.
No, I know.
What?
Copyrighted music.
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't monetize this anyway.
I know.
It forever remains unlisted.
It's like, excuse me. We've noticed you did a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You very accurately covered the song.
It's so dumb. Yeah, Tame Kitty, we have used coffee cups before too. We never used a pitcher. That's a little intense.
A lot.
But Presidents and Assholes was another drinking game we played a lot of.
Presidents and Assholes?
Mm-hmm. Presidents and Assholes.
What was that? That sounds familiar.
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
I feel like you haven't heard of most of these games, though.
No, I've heard of some. Not all of them. I have light experience.
Everyone's lived her life. She had her crazy years.
Where I would watch people do this and not actually play any of them.
Oh, it's so funny. Molly's like, play these games with a stream in an hour. We can't because we're all in different locations. But maybe next month on the anniversary stream, we could play a drinking game.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It would be difficult to do over the internet.
Yes.
Give me your knuckles and I flick a quarter at the.
Yeah, I liked playing bullshit a lot. Did you guys play bullshit?
Sometimes.
It sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't think I ever played it though.
You played. It was fun.
Yeah, some people just call it asshole instead of Presidents and Assholes. But it was a fun one. It's good for groups. Gosh, man. It's weird to think about how many of those games we played because, like, there weren't, like, streaming videos. There was no consoles. And tabletop was, like, not really a big thing back then. It was, like, tabletop games were, like, Risk, Candyland. Monopoly.
Ooh, Candyland.
Ooh, Candyland.
Oh,
you know?
That was the best game ever. I got so hungry when I played it. Yeah.
Ah, man.
The game of life.
I love Life.
I love Life.
I have that here.
Oh my god, we should play that.
Yeah, I have a ton of cool board games and we never get to play them.
I see that Resident Evil 2 behind you.
We would have to do like a little cam. That's the board, and then cut back and forth between the board and us.
Yeah, we could definitely play that. Haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
And I haven't tweeted about it either. I should do that today. I told her I would.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, I think that's probably going to be it for the happy hour Q&A for this month, everybody. If you are part of the legendary
Yes.
No. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
If you are part of the legendary membership or above, you of course will get access to the after hour stream, which is going to start at 1 p.m. We have decided, we checked some of the suggestions, and because we are playing remotely, we do inherently run into some technical problems with that. Because of the way I have to bring their audio in through the computer, and with the stream, it can get complicated with game audio. So we thought it could be fun to start out with Brittany doing some Microsoft Paint with your suggestions in the chat. And then we might move to a game after that. But some of the suggestions you guys put in, like MK11, is like, we would like to do that, but you know, it's so new. Like, I wouldn't want to do like cutscenes and things like that in the game. And Days Gone won't work because where I'm at in the game would be major spoilers for people, things like that. So we thought Microsoft Paint would be fun. But
Boy.
Maybe you can draw me a deacon.
Okay. I got you.
Okay.
I can draw you in his arms too if you want.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
That wouldn't be bad. That sounds really great.
So go grab yourself a beverage if you need one. Get a snack. We are going to say goodbye for this stream, and then we will see you guys back online very shortly. And thank you again so much for being a wonderful member of our Patreon community. We love doing this with you guys every month, and we look forward to next month's. It'll be in the evening, so it'll be like actual happy hour time here in the Pacific Coast time zone. But wherever you are, of course, it's happy hour in spirit.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say goodbye for real. Bye.
Bye.